Well, they say that there's a season in life for everything. And that's what we're really going to be talking about today. We're talking about something called Mahadashas. And what these are planetary periods, which really dictate what type of energies are manifesting in our lives. So I had a few viewers ask me if I could explain those a little bit more in detail because we do use them quite a bit in chart readings. And that's what I'm going to do today. So, those of you that are new to my channel, make sure you like and subscribe and also hit the notification bell so that you can get all of my updates. I do videos on celebrities, the royal family. I do teaching videos on astrology and even monthly predictions. So, you want to make sure you're getting all of those videos because it's so much informational content that you're sure to enjoy. Now, what I want to bring up as well is that this is Vedic sidereal astrology. It's not Western tropical astrology. So Mahadashas are very specific to Vedic astrology. I'm also offering a discount on my website for those of you that are interested in getting a personal reading, 40% off if you use code name Thor. Check details down below if you're interested. Also, if you're interested in meditations and healing meditations, check out my new channel, Thor Spirit Teachings, where I offer free meditations that you can listen to. And, these are really designed to help improve your life. So let's talk about Mahadashas. Now, every one of you that are watching this video right now are in a Mahadasha. The second you're born or incarnate onto this planet, you're running some sort of planetary period. And that planet is really in charge of your life during certain periods of time. So if you want to think about when you're born, the planets are in certain houses and signs in your birth chart. Well, when you're running a Mahadasha, one of those planets is going to be highlighted. So there's a planet that's going to be emphasized. And that's really a lot of the karma that's going to be running in your life at that particular moment of time. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit more in detail what this means for you. So let's go to the slide here. So a Mahadasha is a planetary period where a particular planet is highlighted in your chart. All of you are in one right now. And these Mahadashas, they run like a clock. So when you're born, it's like there's this Mahadasha sequence that's essentially running. Okay. So for example, if you're in K2 Mahadasha and you conclude K2 Mahadasha, you're going to be in Venus Mahadasha. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And then after Venus Mahadasha, you're going to be in Sun Mahadasha. So there's actually a particular order to these as well. Now, the way they calculate the order of, what Mahadasha you're born into is we look at the nakshatra of your moon. Okay. So for example, if we take a look at your chart and your moon is in the nakshatra of Rohini, what we do is we look at what is the ruling planet of that nakshatra. So it's really important to know what nakshatra your moon is in. So with Rohini, the ruling nakshatra happens to be the moon. So that's the Mahadasha that you would start. So it would start in Moon Mahadasha, and then it's like there's this clock that's running. Okay. So these Mahadashas and Bookies are very predictable. We know where you're going to be 5 years from now, 10 years now, 20 years from now. Okay. So let's go back to the slideshow here. So I wanted to give you a list of what the Mahadashas are. Now, the Mahadashas are really large periods of time. If you see there, the shortest Mahadasha is 6 years long. It's Sun Mahadasha. And the longest Mahadasha is 20 years long, which is known as Venus Mahadasha. And then everything in between. Okay. So moon's 10 years and so forth. So if you look, all of these have different lengths of time that these Mahadashas run. Okay. So this is the order. So for example, if you're in Sun Mahadasha, you would be in it for 6 years. And then after that 6 years is concluded, you would now move to Moon Mahadasha. Then you would be in Moon Mahadasha for 10 years. And you would go down this list. Then you'd go to Mars, then you'd go to Rahu, then you'd go to Jupiter. Okay. When you're in one of these Mahadashas, it's like you're beginning a whole new book or chapter of your life. Okay, so for example, Venus is the longest Mahadasha. It's 20 years long. Now, 20 years is a long time to make predictions, but there's sub periods within the Mahadasha. So if you think of a Mahadasha, especially like Venus, it's a book. And in the book, there's going to be chapters in that book that give you more information about the specific time. And that's what's known as Bookies. Now, one thing I want to explain about these Mahadashas is when we're trying to interpret what does that Mahadasha mean for your life, what we usually do is, for example, if you're running a Sun Mahadasha, there's usually going to be certain themes that are representative of the sun. So first we look at what does that planet represent in a general way. And this basically applies for anyone that's running Sun Mahadasha. But sun represents authority. It represents rulership. It represents power. It represents charisma. It represents being in the spotlight. It also represents your father and father figures. So, in a general way, when we're looking at sun, that's all going to be experienced during that 6 years. There's going to be certain themes that have to do with what the sun represents in your chart. There's other things to look at. So first of all, we look at what does the sun represent as a karaka, and then we also look at what house is the sun in. And then we look at what house does the sun rule. So there's a lot of different ways to look at and interpret what that Mahadasha means. So for example, if you're a Leo, this is going to be a very important time when you're in Sun Mahadasha because it's all about the self. The spotlight is on the first house. It's all about getting out there and getting noticed. Okay. So each one of these has different themes. If you're in Venus Mahadasha, typically it has to do with love, romance, marriage, family. Now that's the usual interpretation. There's always extraordinary circumstances for all of these. And it also depends on what your ascendant sign. But all of these have general indications. So Jupiter could represent children. Saturn represents difficult, heavy karma. Mercury it could represent career, administrative tasks, a very mentalized period. So all of these periods have certain flavors. Now, when you're running a Mahadasha, what I want to explain is that whatever Mahadasha you're in, that planet is really influencing how you even perceive the world. Okay, so if you're in Venus Mahadasha, you're going to be seeing the world through this Rajasic, that's one of the three gunas. You're going to be seeing this world in this very motivated, seeking pleasure. Okay, you're seeking pleasure, you're seeking relationships, you're seeking contracts, you're seeking deals. So the planet Venus is going to be influencing your decisions. It's like a life script. And it's not even that you can necessarily control this. It's literally, the planets are called grahas because what the planets do is they literally overshadow your consciousness and they give you the impulses, the drives, and the desires that you think you're making all these decisions on your own, but you are being influenced by the planets. Okay, so all of you right now are being influenced by the planets on a certain level. The planetary energies are a result of your past life karma. So if we're taking a look again at a planet like Venus, it's going to represent a lot of your past life karmas surrounding love and romance. So we have to look at what is the condition of Venus in your chart. Is it going to be positive or negative? Some people have an afflictive Venus where it's going to be a 20-year-long Mahadasha of lots of drama, lots of twists and turns. So that's what can happen. Now, let me take you to the next slide. I wanted to share with you what the Bhuktis are. So the Bhuktis are the sub periods that I was telling you about. So when we're talking about Venus, it's a 20-year-long period. There's going to be a general theme. So for example, let's say in the first Bhukti of Venus, which is 41 months, let's say you get married. Okay, you get married and throughout this 20-year period, you're married to the same person. That's going to be the general overall theme of what Venus Mahadasha represents for you. But within that Mahadasha, you're making all sorts of changes. Maybe you're changing jobs. Maybe you get promoted. Maybe you lose your job. Maybe you get a big pay raise. Maybe you start your own business. Now, all those little additions to your life script, those are going to be the Bhuktis. So for example, and I didn't write them all down, but Venus is 41 months. That's usually the beginning of the Mahadasha. Usually it brings in the overall theme. So maybe you get married to somebody, and this is going to be the background theme of the whole Mahadasha. Okay. And then Venus, Sun, let's say Sun is in your 10th house. And so now Sun is all about your career. You're getting promoted. You're still married to the person. You're still having this family, but now at work, you're being specially spotlighted. You're being given a lot of leadership, and you're really successful during this time. So each one of these sub periods, Venus, and just like the Mahadasha sequence, the Bhukti sequence is the same. So you're going to be in Venus, then you're going to go to Venus Sun. Then after 12 months, you're going to go to Venus Moon. Those are the Bhuktis. Now they have even smaller sub periods called Prantyantara dashas. Okay. But for the sake of simplicity, it really depends how long you're in these dashas. So for example, if you're in Sun Mahadasha, which is only 6 years, I'm not really going to be looking at the Prantyantara dashas. They're too short. A planetary period also has to be, it has to be around for a long enough time to really bring about changes in your life. If you're looking at a Prantyantara dasha that's only 2 or 3 months, well, you might see a little bit of changes, but not really as big as you would want to. The longer the Mahadasha, the longer the Bhukti, usually the energy of that planet really starts influencing your life and really starts manifesting those types of things that the planet represents in your chart. So I hope you're understanding a little bit about what Mahadashas are about with this video. This is a very basic beginner's course to what it is. And this is specific to Vedic astrology. So they don't have the Vimshatari Dasha system in Western tropical astrology. Now, Mahadashas and Bhuktis are so important. I literally myself, I mark my calendar. When I'm ever going to change Bhukti, I mark it. So for example, I just entered Rahu Bhukti myself just a few days ago, or on March 19th. And I'm going to be in Rahu for the next 3 years. That was a big deal because these changes of planetary energies don't happen that often. So if you're changing a planetary period every few years, that's really going to be changing what type of karma is manifesting in your life. Now, people also ask about planetary transits. Your Mahadasha and Bhukti are really going to be the prime movers of your life experience. The transits are more of the triggers of what type of karma unfolds and when. So for example, you do want to look at, if you're in Venus Mahadasha, for example, you want to look at where Venus is transiting. That's going to be a really important to look at since it's the Mahadasha Lord. But the other planets you're going to want to look at is also, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu, and you're going to want to see where all these planets are transiting. But above all, you want to know what Mahadasha and Bhukti you're in. So for example, if you're in Ketu Mahadasha and you are having, transiting Rahu going through your 10th house of career, it might not really manifest a great career promotion for you because you're in Ketu Mahadasha. The Mahadasha and the Bhukti will tend to override. So either there's going to be an agreement between the transiting planets and the Mahadasha or not. So if you see that there's like a disagreement, usually that means the Mahadasha or the Bhukti Lord is going to be the overriding factor in that situation. So that's something to consider. I hope that this helped you understand a little bit more about what the Mahadashas are. All of you are in one at the moment. And the Mahadasha and Bhukti is really the karmic wind that's blowing you in a certain direction. It really is like we're living out a life script. And, there's certain events we can predict in the future. Now, we still have free will. We still can make little choices within that script, but it does help to have that roadmap to be able to know, okay, what Mahadasha am I in? What Bhukti am I in? Because then you can know when the best timing for your efforts are going to be. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this explained to some of you that are new with Vedic astrology. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think, or let me know if you have any more questions or videos you would like me to make as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.